You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls, and you know there's news when we drop on a day we did not have to do an episode. And today we're going to be breaking down the rumored no trade interest in Zach LaVine around the league. Zach will also miss a week, and what does that mean for the team? And we now know the preferred destinations that DeMar DeRozan reportedly wants to go to. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts as well. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Now, Pat, man, you know, got to be some news in here. It's been Bulls news after Bulls news after Bulls news. Today, it was supposed to be our day off.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be our day off. I guess it's better to work on your day off than to get fired on your day off. So there's that too. So
I'm down for it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm okay with as long as there's something interesting to talk about. Yeah, I mean, I'm not coming in if we got whack news out here. You know, like Kobe White's starting. Who cares? Like, who gives? Yeah, I mean, like nobody's worried about that. No, listen. It's been a day. I mean, listen, you've been eating over on Central, so it's been a day for Bulls. And I think the funniest part is we started off with no trade market for Zach LaVine.
Yeah. Well, it actually started the day off with the injury news, but we'll get into that in a second. But Woj came out, and I wish I had the clip so we could play it. It's a 2-minute clip, and basically just broke down exactly why Zach LaVine has no trade interest right now. He talked about the injury concerns because he has had a nagging to major injury every year of the past 3 years. He also touched on the fact that it's the contract as well. But the overarching thing, the kind of the most damning thing I would say in all of that is the winning aspect of it. They flat out saying that teams are concerned that if Zach LaVine impacts winning enough for them to want to pay that contract for the 4 years that's left on it. And I'm sure that teams over this next week are really going to be watching how the Chicago Bulls play without Zach LaVine. When you hear that as far as the winning aspect, and we know Zach LaVine has not been on the best teams. Yeah. We know that over his career, but teams are asking that question now. If you're going to pay somebody $40+ million each year over the next 4 years, you're right to question that.
I want Bulls fans to calm down. I want them to relax. We told y'all when Zach LaVine requested a trade, he's probably going to be here till January 15th. Why am I saying that? Because Bulls fans act like that there being no trade value right now means that there is no trade value for Zach LaVine. And I think that those are two separate things. In the month of December, over the last 3 years, November and December, nobody has been traded. It's very rare that you see any trades in the month of November and December. Yeah. Anyway, so of course there's no trade value right now. You know what that means? That means that nobody's desperate enough to give anything up for Zach LaVine at this moment. Guess what? When they play through the season, as they start to go through some things, as you get to the month of January and close to the playoffs, you know what a lot of people are going to say? We're one score away. And then you start to be able to justify paying Zach LaVine a little bit more.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that with the way that Woj presented it, this isn't just about the January 15th day. Right. Yeah, that plays a part in it, too, as well. But when you hear teams questioning how he impacts winning or not, to me, that says it's more than that. And I mean,
you could, but right, if I have two players that I feel impact winning, like unless you feel like he negatively impacts winning.
Well, that I think that's one of the things that they have to look at is that Zach, at one point, like Zach LaVine had a near 50-40-90 season, and then his efficiency has dropped every year since then.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that, like, I do think if you get Zach in the right, I'm still a Zach LaVine guy. You get him in the right situation, right coach, I think you can get back to efficient Zach LaVine. But if teams are questioning how he impacts winning, if he does that enough, keep in mind, it's not just that alone. It's also at the price. Like what Zach LaVine is if it wasn't a $45 million contract over the last couple of years of this deal attached to that, I don't think we're having this conversation, but it's that Venn diagram of injuries, impact and winning, and the money. And teams right now are finding it hard to kind of fall in the middle of that.
I mean, I feel like this is a now issue. This is a, what is it, December 1st issue, right? Like, to me, by the time January gets here, how many times have we seen teams make trades for players that we feel like, all right, I don't know what you expect him to bring to the team, but all right, like, you got teams get desperate. Why? Because as the season goes on, they start to realize maybe we're not a championship contender.
But the reason why I say that, I get what you're saying in that, but we may see a change in that because A, teams have seen the James Harden trade now. B, it's a way more punitive luxury tax now for you to add a $40 million contract. So I agree with you. Historically, teams will take on the money and be like, hey, we're going to bring him in here. We'll see what he can bring. If it doesn't work out, we could probably move him in a year or two again. Won't diminish in returns. But I think now you may see those teams kind of be maybe a little bit, show a little bit more diligence as far as like what they bring into their roster with those heavy contracts, considering that new salary cap.
It could. I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong either, right? Like, I don't think that it's that. I think both scenarios could be true.
Two things can be true.
Two things, man, not in 2023, bro. It's either my opinion, your opinion, or we kill each other in the middle of the floor. That's all we got. But I'm gonna be real with you, right? Like, to me, this is a scenario where the trade market being cool right now is teams not knowing what they have yet. Now, on the flip side of that, does that work in the favor of the Chicago Bulls in one deal that I think could be the best deal on the table? Because guess what? If the Lakers feel like we're not willing to pay him that much money to bring him over here, or the Miami Heat say we're not willing to pay him that much money to bring him over here, the team that we heard that was interested, now maybe the interest not there yet, but the team that we heard that was interested, and I talked about the scenario of not being able to go out there and get guys to come to their city. Does this open things up for a trade to Charlotte? Because that's probably the only scenario where they're going to be able to outbid somebody.
You make a valid point there, because like you said, never being really a free agent destination, there's something to be said with that. Like, I worry this, and Woj said it in the thing too, is that the thing for best all parties right now is Zach LaVine to get back on the court and play good. The thing that I worry about, you know what, we'll save that for the next segment when we talk about the injury. But I mean, to answer your question, yeah, I do think that maybe a team that has never been a free agent destination, which you can also throw the New York Knicks in there, may get a little bit desperate.
Well, that is tough. It's tough, bro. Like, and because I think you just see too many of the premier teams not being free agency destinations. Like you said, the Knicks aren't a free agent destination. I instantly just went through the Rolodex in my head, and I was like, the best free agent they got is Jalen Brunson, which I guess good, right? But like, that's
and
the best.
They had an over. Well, it ended up being a solid deal, but at that time, people considered it a severe overpay.
Yeah. It ends up being a solid deal now. But yes, at the time, it was like, you're going to pay Jalen Brunson that, and you didn't know if he was going to be that dude. Now, he ended up being it. It worked out. That dude. It worked out, but you had no idea if he was going to be that dude. So, I don't know, man. Like, to me, hearing about Zach LaVine's trade market and things like this, I don't think that people don't want Zach LaVine. I don't think that magically the interest in Zach LaVine has disappeared. I think that people might not want Zach LaVine at the price the Bulls are asking for, and maybe the Bulls will have to adjust their expectations as well. But I think more so you're talking about there being no trade market, to me, just because of timing. If we get the January 1st and there's still no trade market, people still aren't calling. Because here's the thing, right?
It's panic time.
Like, here's the thing. Before all of that, everybody wanted this dude.
When the Bulls
like,
didn't want to
come down to Dallas.
We were literally turning down. AK was like, "Hey, yo, no, we're good. Hey, yo, no, we're good."
You know what I mean?
Now, that's why being a GM, as much as people say, "Oh, he's stupid," they're not smart GMs. Being a GM is also about filling things out and kind of doing some future projecting on things, because little did we know that less than 10 months after the trade deadline last year, would we be here right now?
I mean, I think we kind of knew we were heading toward this.
Not this, bro. Nobody predicted.
I don't think we knew it was going to be this quick.
Yeah.
I don't think we knew like 15 games in, we're going to be like, wow.
If somebody would have told me that we'd be here by next trade deadline, I would have absolutely been like, yeah, that kind of tracks. If somebody would have told me we would be here by this trade deadline, I would have been like, well, I don't think we're going to be great, but I don't think we're at the point where we're just trying to sell off people. Nah, we're about a year ahead of schedule.
We're here. Hey, listen, better to be ahead of schedule than behind schedule, I always say.
I mean, I guess so.
I don't know. What you want? We suck.
So
You're
saying her name's schedule. With that said, next up we're going to be talking about Zach LaVine missing a week of basketball.
Well done. 1,000 points to you.
Before we get into that, I want to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, that is FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. Speaking of the action, while our Chicago Bears do not play this upcoming week, the Carolina Panthers do. And they're giving up 6.5 points to the New Orleans Saints. We need the Panthers to lose that game.
Bro,
you need them to lose that game.
God, I hope that they don't get that like Raiders boost from the coach getting fired. We're free, and they win 3 games. Oh my God,
we need them to lose that game. So there you go. I need you guys to bet on that game for us. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, Pat.
Her name was scheduled.
Her name was scheduled.
Great joke. That's one of your best jokes. Not gonna lie to you.
I appreciate that.
Well done.
But the day, as much as we talked about this, the Zach LaVine no trade market thing was the last thing to kind of come out in the last couple of hours. But the day started off today with Shams Charania announcing that Zach LaVine will be sitting out a week with that foot injury. We saw what the team looked like in one game, be it against the Milwaukee Bucks last night. Pat, when you hear that Zach LaVine is going to now miss a full week, so we know that we'll see what happens with DeMar. We know we're not going to have Zach for a full week. What does that say to you, both if you want to relay it back to his trade value, but more importantly, I kind of want to focus this on what does that mean for the team in this upcoming week? If he misses the full week, he'll be missing 3 games.
Listen, a week doesn't hurt anybody one way or the other. Doesn't it feel like this is hey, hold on. Let me see something real quick. Like, that's what it felt like to me. Just like definitely. AK was like, wait a minute.
Hey, hold up. He may be cooking. The team may be cooking. Hold on. Just go ahead. You need a couple extra days. No, let me call the doctor. Hey, Zach is out a week. What? No, Zach's out a week. Bet.
Bro, I'm telling you, bro, like this feels like AK would do it himself. You know what I mean? Like he's coming with the lead pipe. And Zach's gonna be crying afterwards, like, what? You know what I mean? Like that's what it feels like is happening here. Like I not to say that I think Zach LaVine is faking at any point with this. I'm never gonna say that somebody's faking an injury to go out there and not do their job. What I will say is he might be being extremely cautious with this injury that maybe he wouldn't be if he was a little bit more committed to being here in Chicago long term and having, a full-fledged season. I think that for trade value wise, this is not good for him. But I mean, you got the Pelicans, the Hornets, and the Spurs. This is the best time where, now minus the Pelicans gonna listen. That boy Zion different, bro. I don't care what nobody say. When he on the floor, I mean, listen, we know when he's off the floor, you're not getting nothing but
Zion Williamson and porn star.
That's all you're getting when he's off the floor. But when he's on the floor, he can play some basketball.
You think the strip clubs have up Zion's calendar like from city to city? They just make sure they know on there when Zion's going to be in town?
I don't think the club do. I mean, listen, they probably have like a special prorated version for him on OnlyFans or something like that.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, they probably be like they get an alert when Zion comes to your city. It just pops up on the phone. Bing, Zion. That's actually the notification. And whenever if you're a creator on OnlyFans, you just get a notification to your phone when he comes to the city as soon as he lands.
Zion Williamson.
Hey, bro, that's it right there. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is a little bit of both sides saying, you want to take some time with this? Take some time with this. We have no problems with that because I want to see what these guys can do versus the Pelicans, the Hornets, and the Spurs. 3 teams that are all kind of in a similar situation, minus the Pelicans very up and down, but they're getting healthy. But 3 teams that are in a similar situation as far as, trying to find young pieces and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if AK made kind of the final say on this himself over Billy Donovan.
I don't know if I could just make the joke that I wanted to make, so I'm just going to chill.
Hell, that's crazy.
you know where I was
that's
going.
Crazy.
You feel me? You feel me? Go back. He's Pat said trying to find young pieces. I'm just going to let y'all figure that out where I was going to go with that.
Hey man, you looking too giddy on that joke.
But I agree with everything you just said, right? Like I definitely think that AK saw the way that the team competed yesterday and said, hey, Zach is probably like, why rush him back? And honestly, I can't blame that, right? Why rush him back? If the foot is seriously bothering him, go ahead and take a week. The NBA is, because it was a serious injury, the NBA isn't going to worry about the whole pain management thing or whatever it is, that rule. So you want to see if that flash that you saw against the Milwaukee Bucks is something that you can see maybe being a little bit consistent. And if it is, to me, at that point, maybe the weekend trade market isn't going to hurt you as much because you're looking at it and saying, hey, yeah, we're not going to get back as much as what we probably initially wanted in the Zach LaVine trade. But one thing that we discovered is we got the pieces that we have here are probably going to be better than what we expected if Zach's gone.
As somebody who sat through them 22-game win seasons, don't expect that. Yeah. Don't get your hopes up, Bills fans. Listen, I want to see it too. But what we saw versus the Milwaukee Bucks was a game of effort, and effort that the Bucks probably thought the Bulls weren't going to put forward.
Oh yeah, and it seemed like they weren't prepared for it.
They weren't prepared for it. Right? Guess what? We played the Bucks in 4 games.
Oh, they're going to absolutely come out and just be
Bobby
ready
Porter's
to go.
Going to start the game just punching somebody on his own team. He's not even going to hit a bull, just on his own team to let people know that he's ready to go.
He's ready to go. That's funny.
But no, man, like I think that the week off just seems very specifically timed for me. Right? If the Bulls lose this game, does Zach get a week off? Maybe he does. Not saying he does, but like it seems very like, oh, our young guys played well when there was nobody else to pass the ball to except Vooch. This is kind of what I expect. And guess what? If we see 3 games of it, now here's the question. If we see 3 games of the young guys playing well.
And I love that you said that instead of wins, because it's not necessarily about wins. It's about the style of play.
When you're looking young, this is not about wins. This is about seeing guys compete on a night in and night out basis, right? Like that is what it is right now. If you see 3 games of the young guys playing well, do we see another week added on? Or do you, I mean, here's the thing. At some point, you have to put him back on the floor.
You have to play him because you want to up his value. You
have to show he has value.
Yeah. I mean, I would think like this. To me, if let's say Zach sits out this week, this team plays with that heart, win, loss, doesn't matter, but they play with that heart. At that point, you got to have a conversation with Zach and be like, listen, we understand you want to go. We're like, it is what it is there, but you got to play. You got to keep up what we've been doing since you can't come in and disrupt that.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man.
That's what's tough, man. That's what's tough because realistically speaking, and I guess we'll have to see over the next 4 games, right? But you might be in a Philadelphia 76ers situation where there's more addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
We see more success based on you not being there. Now, that's all. I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think that that's a very pie in the sky scenario. I think we had a very good game versus the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't think that's who this team is on a night in, night out basis. Maybe this team can become that if Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan aren't on the floor. I don't expect it. But over the next 3 games, I think that these are 3 of the perfect games to see that. Because guess what? If you come out with the same level of effort that you had versus the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Spurs versus the Pelicans,
you're winning that game.
The Hornets, you might be looking at 3 wins in a row without Zach LaVine on the floor. And then you could talk about having a little bit more consistency.
Listen, the game against the Pelicans, like you said, that Zion's that's a monster.
But even to that is a huge test for a young man that needs to be starting in Patrick Williams, because he usually plays Zion really well. Now he's only played him, I think.
He played him like twice, right?
I think he's played him 3 times in his whole career, and Zion got the best of him in one game. There was one game, maybe it was last year, year before that, he shut him down completely in the first half. Zion got cooking in like the fourth quarter.
So they played 3 games against each other. Oh, Zion be cooking. 25 points per game, 6 rebounds, 2 assists in 3 games versus Patrick Williams. The last game, they haven't played each other since 2022.
It's been a minute, bro.
19 points, 5 rebounds on 54% shooting, which is below his career average for Zion. So, all right, we'll see. See.
So I think I would say that that's probably a huge test for a guy like Patrick Williams in that.
Yeah.
But hey, at the end of the day, this next week is going to be interesting. And I think, you know what? At least the Bulls season is continuing to be interesting, and we'll see kind of what the trade ends up being. But maybe somebody else could be on the move as well. DeMar DeRozan sat out last night, and all of a sudden we've got his preferred trade destinations. Where the heck did that come from? But hey, if you want to sit out, just like DeMar DeRozan did last night, you can get tickets to sit out at the game on Gametime. Talk about frustrating experiences, my guy. Like, you ever go to the game, you think you got a great seat, you sit down, and you're like, what the heck is this sitting next to me? Why am I next to this pillar? Why is this block in front of me? Why am I struggling to see the game that I paid money to come see? I could have sat on my couch for this. There's no reason to do that. And the whole time
it's just sexy red.
Excuse me? What happened? What? Huh? What? You're in the town?
The whole time it's just sexy red.
What are you doing? What color was it? I'll tell you this right now. The Gametime app is the only ticketing app that gives you a complete peace of mind with your purchases. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front so that you know what you're getting. A great deal without hidden fees. That'd be the worst thing, bro. You feel like, hey, yo, we in here, bro. I'm finna get... Remember last year when the White Sox gave tickets away for $1? It was actually like $7 because of all the hidden fees, and that was $6 too much for me to go to that game. I got in for free, actually. Don't worry about that. But you can buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps, and they're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money. They have deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, even an hour after the event starts. It's the place to find last minute seats, find exclusive flash deals, no sexy red, and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Gametime picks the seat for an average of 18% saving. And a Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price if you find tickets for that same section row for less. Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So you need to go download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
All right. Last topic of the day, Patrick. Got you. DeMar DeRozan. So, like you said, funny enough, the 2 players that set out today, been nothing but rumors about those 2 players. Like, it's like they sat on the sideline with their agent. They were actually like, you know what? This is what I feel.
Oddly timed.
Yeah, very oddly timed. At this point, so came out today that DeMar DeRozan, if he's going to be traded, and I like that it was worded if, right? Not necessarily that he's requesting, but if he's going to be traded, prefers Miami or the New York Knicks.
Okay. What am I supposed to like? Just send you wherever you prefer, depending on. Now, Miami might actually be an interesting spot for him. I'd like to see what some of the young pieces you could get from there, I guess. Miami doesn't have a lot of trade capital or draft capital to trade back.
So the only contracts that they have that can match DeMar in a trade is Duncan Robinson. Tyler Hero's technically too much. We'd have to throw in another player in that. Yep. Kyle Lowry technically too. So really, you're looking at basically Duncan Robinson, because I don't think you're getting. Maybe they try to do the Kyle Lowry, but they need a point. So like, it's not a lot there, and you're probably looking at Duncan Robinson and a heavily protected first round pick or 2 seconds.
I'd do it. Or right, you do the Kyle Lowry swap basically just to switch things up on your team, I guess, and then end up because both of them are going to be gone by the end of the year anyway.
This is true.
Right. So I don't know. Like, I don't know if DeMar ends up getting traded. I've kind of been on that the entire time. Like, I don't expect DeMar to get traded. If he does, sure. Let's talk about Miami or New York. New York would be I'm not gonna lie. There's just nothing I want in New York. Like, there's no pieces on that team that I'm like, yeah, like, I guess you're getting something for something in that situation.
With New York, it'd be the same thing. Like, you're probably looking at that point, them maybe giving you Dante DiVincenzo and Eric Fournier and a heavily protected first round pick.
Yeah. You're not getting the world for DeMar DeRozan.
You're not the world.
Yeah,
hell, I mean
you're
barely
not getting
getting
the
a
world
couple of
for
rocks. This is
New York we talking about. What kind of rocks we talking about?
I was talking about from the earth. That doesn't help either.
Okay,
Stones.
alrighty, bud. I'm just saying, no, I don't think either spot, sure, right? Like, if you move on from DeMar, it's basically to say, I want to send you somewhere so that you can compete for something. I don't think that you have to send him to his preferred destination, but I do think that there's more interest in Miami probably on a DeMar DeRozan than there is on a Zach LaVine. Mm-hmm. Because DeMar DeRozan fits more with the timeline that they're in right now, right? You send DeMar down to Miami, you've got Lowry, you've got Jimmy, you've got Bam. Jimmy and DeMar are pretty much same age range, kind of. The only thing that's weird about that is like, what are they just gonna pick sides on when they shoot mid-range shots? Like, it makes no sense. Like, sending him down there makes no sense because it's just mid-range guys with mid-range guys.
I mean, they still have Tyler Hero on the team at that point in time, but yeah, I don't know, bro. I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't think a Miami scenario works out. Knicks maybe, but at the end of the day, it is. If they end up moving on from DeMar, I would be very surprised because I don't think that you're going to get very much back in value.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing right now with DeMar. And I see the guys in the chat like, give me RJ. You're not getting that for DeMar DeRozan right now. DeMar DeRozan literally has aged 6 years this offseason. Worst true shooting percentage, I think, since like 2013. We're talking about a decade. It's been a decade since he's played this bad.
I would like to see. I don't think he'll finish there, though.
Oh, wherever he goes, no, I don't think so.
You know what I mean? I don't think that he'll finish in that situation. I don't think that he'll finish shooting one of the worst that we've seen from his career. I think that he'll end up getting back into his rhythm, right? I really do think that the dynamic of this team, just everybody is ready to go.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody's kind of done with the situation. And I think there's a reason why they want to start with the LaVine trade, because I think Zach LaVine is a big part of that attitude that this team has. The one thing that I can say that happened that without Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan out there is the attitude of this team changed.
Yeah. That's a fact.
Like the mindset, how guys were going about attack, how guys were moving around, how guys were attacking the rim. Heck, Patrick Williams cutting.
That was crazy to see, bro.
I mean, it's something small, but it's something massive. So I look at the DeMar DeRozan value right now and say he would be somebody who's more worth it to hold on to until after you move Zach LaVine, because then maybe you can end up seeing something where his value goes up. I don't see his value skyrocketing right now. I don't think he's worth I mean, you're tying yourself to pieces that are already under contract that are okay pieces, I guess.
I mean, do you think, before we go real quick, with what is it kind of expected to be a return for DeMar? Are you doing it for because even getting protected first, that mug's going to be like top 29 protected, bro. Like, it's going to be something crazy. Like, is it worth it, or is it just let's just let it expire?
I hate to lose somebody for nothing. I would hate to not have DeMar DeRozan for nothing. But I also don't want to tie myself to bad contracts.
Yeah.
Right? Like Duncan Robinson is not a good contract. He's okay. He's playing with a little bit more confidence this season, but like he's still 14 points a game.
Yeah.
He's not this elite. Oh, if I've got, 20 shots, I'm gonna take the next step. Like he's a role player. And I'm just not, I wouldn't want to tie myself to having Duncan Robinson.
How many more years
term.
did he just sign a new contract?
He just signed his deal, didn't he?
Let
me see. Duncan Robinson, 5-year, $90 million.
Jesus Christ. I get it. He's been playing better this season, but Jesus.
Well, no, it's not that he's been playing better this season. He's just been playing this season. Remember, they benched him.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's like, yes, okay, he's playing better, but like, it's still just okay. Yeah, I mean, it's you're gonna tie yourself to Duncan Robinson for what? 4 more years at $20 million a year. I'm okay.
Trade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't see her adding to the issues you're gonna have long term being the answer just to get rid of DeMar DeRozan.
Facts. I agree with that. We'll see, man. We'll see what ends up happening, man. At this point right now, where this team sits with things, I'm nervous, bro. I'm not as nervous as Josh Giddey when he sees Chris Hansen walk in the room, but I'm nervous nonetheless.
I like it, and I want you. Yeah. Now we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Oh, man.
I see you want to do this the hard way. Hey, man, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love.
Absolutely. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. That's CEO Haize. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls, albeit an impromptu episode. But hey, we that good at what we do. Make sure you guys are following us on every podcasting app and platform of your choice. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube as well. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls. Peace, y'all.
Peace.